You can hear me now. We live. You should have sound now. You should have sound now. I can't go to sleep. Twitter too goddamn funny. And I tried. I tried being good. I tried to not laugh and joke and celebrate this man having COVID-19. I tried. But then I saw the self-righteousness of these motherfucking right-wingers, of conservatives, people like Ben Shapiro. Matter of fact, I want to show you why I'm going to take my chances with karma. And I'm going to take my chances and hope that God is protecting me. And not give a shit about what happens to Donald Trump. Not offer one bit of concern, empathy, condolences, any of the above. Because these conservatives had the nerve to get on their high horse and try to lecture us about being kind and being mean and being insensitive. You want to lecture us about being insensitive towards your sociopathic president? When that motherfucker has presided, excuse me, I'm sorry, I hope you're not watching tonight. I hope you are asleep, because I've been doing my best not to cuss. But these people who show no mercy now plead for it. I don't know who I'm going to reward or what I'm going to reward, but if you know where that line is from, drop it in the comment section. I'm sure I got my mic on. I just want to make sure. 1, 2, yeah. Can y'all hear me fine? I want to make sure before I go off anymore. Cause listen, we're talking about people who raised Kyle Rittenhouse $1.5 million after killing 2 Black Lives Matter protesters and celebrate him as a hero. You're telling me to be nice and be merciful and be gracious to a man who's actually supporting that murderer? I almost, for the sake of me trying to here's my dilemma. I'm trying to make it out of COVID-19 without catching it at all, asymptomatic or otherwise. I want you to make it out of it. I want my family, my extended family, my cousins, and I want everybody that can possibly get out of this. I want it so bad to end that I that I actually had empathy for Donald Trump. Because I believe you reap what you sow. I firmly believe that for a minute I feel I have the humanity in me to feel compassion and empathy for that monster. But you people, somebody tag Ben Shapiro's bitch ass. You people who laughed at the death of Trayvon Martin and mocked him every single year got the nerve to lecture us about being cruel. See, you could meet us in a place where our humanity would prevail, where my desire to wish goodness on people could prevail. But after you've spent the last 10 years, it's much longer than that, but I'm just going to give you the last 10. After you've spent the last 10 years laughing at our pain, you got the goddamn unmitigated gall to lecture us about cruelty. So to that end, I'm going to throw caution to the wind. Fuck Donald Trump. He deserves everything that he gets. He deserves every bit of pain that he suffers, every gasp for air, every bit of coughed up blood, every bit of drifting in and out of consciousness, not knowing if that's his last time. He deserves it because he's earned it. And there's 205,000 Americans who have died because of his negligence and his ego that would testify to it if they could, but they're dead. So I'm going to throw caution to the wind. How selfish of me. How selfish of me to be so eminently concerned about my own safety and my karma and my juju and superstition anyway. Like, I don't even believe in superstition for real. I'm not supposed to believe in it. So let me just throw that to the wind and say, fuck your president. And fuck you, right-wingers, who laugh at our pain and have reveled in our misery over the last 15 years that I can recall, that I even choose to think of. Because if I go past that and go back to your history, every single one of you deserve every single thing that goes wrong in your life. And I can say that with a clean conscience because I would prefer to wish love and kindness and joy on you. But you are some sick, twisted, sadistic bastards who would ask us to be kind to you when you would turn around and revel in our misery. Sometimes you got to cut your empathy. Sometimes you got to cut your empathy. I got enough. You know who I'm praying for tonight? I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm praying for Sean King and his family. Now, if you want to see me extend empathy beyond myself, I'm praying for that, man. Because somebody dropped in my comment section that he and his entire family got COVID-19. And I don't even like Sean, okay? And Sean don't like me. Everybody knows that. But I'm praying for that brother. I don't give a damn about how much I don't like him. I want him and his family to come out of this thing without any no lingering symptoms, no lingering after effects. I want them to come out of this like nothing ever happened to them. I'm praying for that. So don't look at me about me not having empathy for people that I disagree with. I'm praying for him and everybody in his family. I'm praying for just about anybody else. But you know who I'm not praying for? I am not praying for Donald Trump. And you know what? God's grace is sufficient. He'll forgive me. He'll forgive me. Anybody who don't, I'm not going to use this time to go into that story. You could read tweets and everything else. It's immaterial. I only bring it up to the point that I need people to understand my empathy went to Donald Trump. My empathy went to Donald Trump. My compassion and concern for a hot second went to Donald Trump. But to see conservatives try to lecture us about being cruel, when they make jokes about Trayvon Martin every year of the anniversary of his murder. See, I'm not gonna let myself. When the last episode ended tonight, I think I had talking about COVID-19 had really triggered something in me, and I just kind of I don't have an issue. Believe it or not, as big as I was and still am, I never had an issue with blood pressure. Never had it been on, but something about COVID-19 really messed with my body, and I was outside trying to compose myself, looking at the stars, the beautiful night, and breathing in the cool air. And so it really does, the fact that so many people are dying, it really does get to me. And so that's the headspace I was in when I got the news about Trump. And the same compassion that I extended to the 200,000 people that I think about, and the possibility of my family being exposed to it because they have to go back and teach school in states where Republican politicians are so sociopathic, they're trying to force people. That's the headspace I was in when I found out about Donald Trump. And so my natural inclination, the Jesus in me was like, damn, I really don't want anybody to suffer. Nevertheless, I'm going to sip this wine, because this ain't tea. I'm going to sip this wine and acknowledge the fact that if Donald Trump had never become president, at least 150,000 more people would be alive right now. So maybe the authors of 2020, maybe they are better. They're better at this than I am, right? Because my empathy kicked in, and I didn't wish it on Trump. I did not wish it on Trump. I made a joke online earlier, and I thought about deleting it, but it's just, sometimes you get out of pocket, but in your real heart, I didn't really wish this on Trump. But watching the moralizing and the grandstanding from people who have mocked Black lives, people who say George Floyd didn't die of that police officer trying to crack his skull, crack his neck with his knee on his neck. He died of a drug overdose. People who made the argument that 90% or 96% of the people who died didn't really die from COVID because they had pre-existing conditions. These are the same people who expect us to have empathy for Donald Trump. It's a funny thing, because when you y'all could have just been quiet, and I would have just been like, quiet. But now you done ran your mouth and shown your hypocrisy, and you reminded me of what everybody in the comment section already knows, what people on Twitter already know. See, I'm not saying empathy is always a strength. It's a strength in the right place, but sometimes you got to cut that off. And the people in the comment section on Twitter, y'all some funny bastards. Y'all been making me laugh all night, and I've just been keeping it to myself. And then I stumbled onto Ben fucking, Shapiro, the whitest, the most. How can I say this without getting canceled, or even do I even care? The most Jewish white supremacist palling around with Nazis motherfucker I've ever seen in my goddamn life. That Ben Shapiro, who knows these white supremacist Nazis are going to come knocking at his Hebrew door as soon as they're done with black folks and Muslims and Latinx people. They're going to come right to his door, and he going to all of a sudden, Ben Shapiro going to become Antifa, all of a sudden anti-fascist when they get done with us. That Ben Shapiro had the gall to lecture us about our cruelty when he made his career on the back and the blood of Trayvon Martin. Ben Shapiro, I will gladly see you when this whole COVID-19 is over. I'll debate you in person. You notice I'm choosing who I'm gonna debate in person. I ain't gonna go debate nobody who's like 6'9" in person. My little short ass. I might be shorter than Ben Shapiro, so I ain't crazy. Capitalizing, that's right, Taylor. I see your comment from all the way over here. They have been capitalizing on Black lives. In the morning, when Candace Owens wakes up from her deep rest that vampires take every during the day, her demonic rest where she rejuvenates the evil in her. When she wakes up, she's going to make a post about how cruel the left is because we're laughing at Donald Trump getting coronavirus. But I want you to remember, when you see her video, that Candace Owens has literally made her life, made her fortune, made her whole entire career on the blood of dead Black people. Mocking them, vilifying them, lying about them, looking up. These are the people who, God dog, there's so many names. Who's our brother in Baltimore? I could see his face, slim black brother who was thrown in the back of the paddy wagon without handcuffs. I could see his face now, but I got so many names in my head. I can't remember his name. What is my brother's name that was killed in Baltimore by the police? Freddie Gray. Thank you. I knew the audience would help me. These are the same people that after Freddie Gray died, was murdered, correction. You know what they did? I'm trying to keep my mind loose and untense. You know what they did? They dug up his mother's record and published articles on the fact that his mother had a drug problem. That's what they did to Freddie Gray after he was killed by the police. In order to justify his murder, they brought up the fact that his mother had a drug problem. So God will forgive me if I laugh at that woman. Have y'all seen the tweet of the woman twerking on the grave? And she's saying that this is Melania at Donald Trump's funeral. And this is white lady, she ain't got no ass. But she out there, she's like, oh no. And then she just start twerking. You all deserve every bit of pain, every bit of misery. And you know what's wild? You're getting me, who honestly, I try to root everything I do in love. I don't even have to try. Everything I do is in love. But you had the nerve to run your mouth about us being cruel. You have not seen cruel until you push somebody who wants to love into the category of having to be cruel. And because this is a game to you all, fuck you and your president and your vice president and anybody. Oh God, if only Stephen Miller. Fuck him. Because you have no capacity whatsoever to actually demonstrate empathy to anyone that you politically disagree with. Ask Freddie Gray, ask Trayvon Martin, ask Breonna Taylor, ask George Floyd, ask Michael Reinhold. I tweeted about Black Lives, but ask Michael Reinhold. While Kyle Rittenhouse is getting his day in court to prove self-defense, Michael Reinhold was killed by the President of the United States sending federal agents to execute him, and he gets no day in court. And you justified that. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows you don't want to play this game with people who would rather spend our time loving and being compassionate and being empathetic, because once you do trigger us, we will fucking demolish you, and we will demolish you quickly so that we can get back to loving, so that we can get back to empathy, so that we can get back to compassion. We have no requirement whatsoever to tolerate your intolerance or your games or your machinations. No, I haven't. No matter how much I cuss, I've never stopped being a preacher. I would that everyone would prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. But you know what? The world don't need people right now. They don't need me to find ways of being empathetic with cruel people. They need me to help make sure that you understand that your righteous indignation, that you may be expressing it through laughter right now, but the arc of the universe is long. The moral arc of the universe is extremely long. but it bends towards justice. And it is only just that a man who had the ability to mitigate the ravages of COVID-19 in this country, but instead chose to downplay it for his own political expediency and his own political purposes, it is only just. And if he's playing, so a lot of people saying he's playing around, he's joking around, or whatever. He ain't gonna live forever, even if he's joking around. So fuck him. My kids are good and sleep right now. Ma, I need you to make sure you sleep. I need my pastor on Facebook. I need to make sure you sleep. I hope y'all asleep. I hope y'all asleep. Cause it's just something, y'all. It is something. It is something when evil looks at you and asks you to be kind. It is something when a cruel person asks you to be gentle. It is something when an abuser asks you to have mercy. And when you realize that you have been gaslit all this time, that's why they say, what's the saying? Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. If I were to just kind of just think about that statement outside of any gender or anything, the reason hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, it's really the same reason hell hath no fury like a person scorned. It's because if you have committed your life to being kind, just, empathetic, loving, merciful, you give them, and you give people the benefit. You've committed your life to giving people the benefit of the doubt over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then finally, it clicks in that woman's head or that person's head, that non-gender conforming individual's head. Wait a minute. You've been playing motherfucking games with my love? You've been playing games with my kindness? You've been playing games with my desire to see you do well? There's not a human being on this face of this planet that I would not wish goodness for. But when you spent the last 20 years, you see how I'm going up and up and up. First it was 10, then it was 15, now it's 20. When you spent the last 20 years reveling in our misery, and we come to an understanding of the cruelty, like Adam Seward says, the cruelty is the point. That's the understanding we had. The understanding was that you all were cruel. And we adjusted our entire system to that reality. We started engaging based on the baseline that you all choose to be cruel. And tonight you ask us to be kind? The universe would be too kind if Donald Trump gets an asymptomatic strand of COVID-19. The universe would be too kind if Donald Trump survives this when so many people didn't because of him. The universe would be too kind if 2020 took out so many kind people, but left an evil, sadistic, megalomaniac, narcissistic fuckboy like Donald Trump standing in the position to destroy our country. Like, maybe the universe is going to say, y'all can't save yourselves, so let me send COVID-19 to get rid of that motherfucker so I can save you. Maybe the pathway to humanity saving itself is through Donald Trump dying a slow and painful, miserable death from COVID-19. You want to see cruel? Fuck around and keep playing these games with people who would rather be kind. I know I sound crazy right now. But you should never fix your mouth to lecture us, ever lecture us, when you have gotten pure joy off of our pain and made careers out of it. Okay. Let's see what y'all talking about. Rachel said, Rachel said, Bolsonaro has not gone down for good yet, but there's still time. There is. I'm sorry. Like, evil people need to get what evil people get. Ah. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God for the pulling down stronghold, casting down arguments and high exalts itself against the knowledge of God. We didn't have to get to fisticuffs. We didn't have to do nothing. He did this to himself. Donald Trump did this to himself in his arrogance. His sheer arrogance. See, I'm arrogant, yeah. But I don't think more. I assume that COVID is waiting out the door, ready to take me if I just give it a chance. That's how I'm doing. Like I got a bit of arrogance, but Donald Trump's arrogance said, it won't touch me. We didn't even have to do it. He did it to himself. Damn, 1,000 of y'all people up this time of night? Renee said, funny, Renee just said, damn right we up. Miller's wife already got it. Hopefully he's not immune now. Righteously angry Ben is needed right now. You know, I feel a moral responsibility. No, let me just be honest with you all. Y'all know how much I love. There was I think I've said this on the podcast. There was one young lady who I dated for some years. Well, no, we didn't date for years. It felt like years. We both said it. We only dated for 3 months, and we both said it felt like we dated for years. And she has nothing on my wife, by the way. Absolutely nothing on my wife whatsoever. But I talked to her like maybe a year after we broke our entanglement up. This was like back in 2006, 2007. And for whatever reason, we just start talking about each other's personality traits that we liked. And one of the things she said that stood out the most about me, and it meant a lot to me. That's why I'm telling you, and I'm setting it up to tell you something else. She said my most defining feature was my love, compassion, and empathy. She said your greatest defining feature was your love, compassion, and empathy. Now, I would rather have said some other stuff. But you got to take what you get in this life. It took me years. It was like after that point, it was like 3 years before I met my wife. And then like I've been married to my wife 10 years and COVID-19. And it took me almost all that time to understand that one, she was right. But two, there's the opposite side of that coin, man. And I had to understand it. And I think me understanding it is necessary for me to communicate it and just accept it, because the opposite side to my compassion, empathy, and love, the yin to my yang, is that when you push me over to that other side, I am just as malevolent as I am kind. Now, I would rather be kind, but when these people, I'm gonna use my words. When these people who have laughed at our pain, these people who have mocked our sorrow, these people who have reveled in their cruelty at our demise, lecture me and you and those of us who would rather a society rooted in love, they have the nerve to lecture us about compassion. Then you have really I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning streaming about this. And I would that there was no COVID-19 so I could literally go and have a conversation and debate them in person, however that debate ends. I'm not saying this to make myself seem like anything other than a man who would rather be kind and compassionate, meek and gentle so that we could all prosper and be in good health even as our soul prospers. But we are dealing with a different breed of evil. The kind of evil that would raise Kyle Rittenhouse $1.5 million for killing one of us. That would lie and tell us that they tried to get justice for Breonna Taylor when in reality they didn't even present murder charges. That would tell the Department of Justice to make statements in support of Kyle Rittenhouse and statements in support of the Patriot Prayer Group, the group that had the confrontation with Michael Reinhold, which ultimately led to Michael Reinhold having to use self-defense against them, killing one of them, and then Donald Trump sending his agents to kill Michael Reinhold, right? We're dealing with the same people who are now trying to absolve Patriots' prayer of their white supremacy so that they could justify the murder of Michael Reinhold. The same people who say George Floyd did not die because of the boot that was on his neck. These are the same people who are lecturing us tonight about being kind. It's gaslighting of the highest order. It's disingenuous. It's bad faith. And it's triggering for me. But it's not triggering for me in a way that, ha, 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 kiki, you're triggered. No, it's triggering me in a way that I can compartmentalize my desire to love you and I will come get you. Rhetorically speaking, right? In a debate, in you know, all that kind of stuff. You guys like to fantasize about violence. Hell hath no fury like an empathetic person scorned. Conservatives. Let's see what y'all talking about. Y'all always give me stuff that make me say a whole bunch of stuff. Rachel Maddow is lecturing us too. It's not, you know what, and that's fine. Let her play her role, right? But Rachel don't really have skin in this particular game because her income bracket kind of puts her above this game, right? Her income bracket puts her in the category where her private security can ensure that she's safe, despite her sexuality, which would normally make her a prime target for these same evil people. But her income bracket kind of protects her and gives her a little bit of, not a lot, but it gives her some insulation. And so to that end, I think there's a separation, right? And it transcends, it's obviously not based on your sexuality. I think there's some black folks whose income bracket really separates them, right, from the reality of the cruelty. They know it intellectually, but they don't know it emotionally. Not anymore. Maybe they grew up that way, but they're now living in downtown Manhattan. They're making $8, $9, $10 million a year. They got private security that'll make sure that any Proud Boy that stepped on foot on their campus will get dealt with expeditiously. So I think and I'm not saying this to insult Rachel. She has her role to play, but her role to play is not in dealing with the nitty-gritty griminess of dealing with people who revel in our misery. Because if that was her role, and if she would feel it, right? Right now, she feels her role is civility. Cool. But that ain't the role and the reality for most people in this country. For most LGBTQ people in this country who are down here in the muck and the mire dealing with the cruelty of the people she's telling us to be kind to. The black people who are also LGBTQ to be sure, but who are down here in the muck and the mire and dealing with the cruelty of the people she's telling us to be kind to, right? Of the poor people of any gender, of any orientation, of any race, of any class, who are down here dealing with the cruelty of the people she's telling us to be kind to, because she is separated from us. I'm not saying she's not one of us, but I'm saying that to a certain extent, she ain't one of us. And it's merely because her income bracket has put her in a position where she does not have to deal with the day-to-day cruelty. They'll still come after her, right? At the end, when they're done with the rest of us poor folks, they'll come after her. She's not free. She ultimately. And what happens though is people who are in those privileged positions, they try to appeal to civility so long that the cruelest person in the room wins. But you know who they got rid of first? Do you know in any coup, in any revolution, the first people to go are the ones who will fight first. So by the time they get to Ben Shapiro and he realizes, oh, I guess they do hate me because I'm Jewish. By the time they get to the well-to-do liberals who are lecturing us tonight about being kind and praying for Donald Trump, by the time they get to them, like, oh, wait a minute, we were kind to you. Why are you going to be cruel to us? By the time they get to them, these fascists would have wiped all of us out. I'd be like the second person they come for, the third person they come for. I'm sure there's other people who are a little more, radical than me that got first. But then I'll be number 3, and y'all be number 4, and then they would have disposed of all of us, and then they would be knocking on Rachel Maddow's door, and Rachel would be like, "But I told everybody to be kind to you," and you know what these fascists will say? "Thank you," and then they'll do her, and then they'll go to Ben Shapiro. And Ben Shapiro's like, well, I did a whole career, my entire career was supporting you. You know they're going to say, honestly, all jokes aside, it's going to sound anti-Semitic. I don't even want to say it. But you know what they're going to say? He's still a Jew. That's how deeply rooted the evil and cruelty is in this group of people, that no matter how kind you are to them, Rachel Maddow, they're still going to come after you. And no matter how much you do the bidding of white supremacy, Ben Shapiro, they still see you as a Jewish person. Let's see if somebody can say something else to get me in more trouble. It's two impersonations I can do really well. That's Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, and Ben Shapiro, which I can't do right now. It's hard to go from James Clyburn to Ben Shapiro. It's like 3 octaves between them. Yep. Clint Eastwood. Trump is a murderer. This is what he said. This is gonna be Ben Shapiro. When the Nazis get done killing all or deporting all of the immigrants, when they have come through and wiped out all of Antifa, and they done got rid of all the black folks that don't do they're gonna get Ben Shapiro before they get Candace Owens. Because there's a hierarchy to their hate, right? They hate Ben Shapiro more than they hate Candace Owens. But they're going to get both of them if they win. Someone, I'm not shocked you think the most pressing issue of the night is dragging Rachel Maddow. I mean, I guess you just tuned in, Robert, because, I mean, Rachel Maddow has literally been like, 90 seconds of the last 40 minutes? Fuck you, dog. Y'all excuse my language. I'm coming in. I'm pulling it back in. They say, well, that escalated. That escalated really quickly. It's that kind of night, man. It's unfiltered. And it's 4:29. I figured nobody else is gonna go to sleep, so why the hell not? You said my Jim Clyburn is trash? Come on. It might have been trash at that moment, but I'm known for my Jim Clyburn. Jim Clyburn, South Carolina. Yeah, come on, man, come on. I think it's good. Everybody else thinks it's good. I'll work on it. Ask Diamond and Silk about defending people that want you gone. Yeah, I don't know specifically what you're talking about. Maybe you have something that happened to them recently that kind of proves the point. But the truth is that they will let you do. They will let you defend them. They will enrich you. But at the end of the day, those Nazis are going to come for anyone that is not a part of their pure Aryan nation. It's inevitable. Thank you, Sarah. Somebody likes it. Yes, Ben Shapiro's voice is, you just got to talk like you have helium. What is the black community doing about bad apples that perpetuate this stereotype? What we're doing is saying, fuck you, Jameson. That's what we're doing. I am not the one, folks. Brand Barb says she hates she hates Candace with all of her being. RC said they have work tomorrow, but who cares? Absolutely. Like, I haven't slept in a couple days. Not a full night's rest. And I thought I was going to go to bed tonight. But apparently not. I'm reading a message from one of my newest producers on the team. And I don't think I know my lane. I tread very carefully when I talk about other people's identities, out of respect, out of the fact that it's easy to get it wrong and say something wrong. One of my producers is Jewish, and he says something in regard to Ben Shapiro that I won't repeat because it is not my place to repeat. But Jake, I hear you loud and clear. Okay, all right. Blizzard Finger said I need to drop my bass a little bit more on the. Okay, I'll work on it. I ain't got no, I'm not good at everything. I'll work on it. I want to see what else y'all are saying. We are not normal. We got issues. We got issues, and I should be asleep. So everyone who's waiting on the podcast tomorrow, it's a possibility we won't have a podcast tomorrow because I might not wake up till like noon, 1 o'clock. Aloof and uncouth. I love it. He said, F it, cuss more. Countess is Central Standard Time. This is it, Dale. This is the one. Ain't COVID a hoax, though, Mr. Trump? West Coast is in the house. It's early. It's early. Y'all can still go out. The irony, Kimberly, the irony of it all. Wow, we got 1,100 people. What is wrong with y'all? Why are y'all not asleep? 10:33 a.m. here. So let me see. So you're 1 hour. Well, it depends on first. Are you in England? Are you in the UK? Or are you 1 hour ahead of the UK? Because I guess it depends on what time we're on. Oh, yes. Think about Amy Coney Bryant, the woman who wants to get rid of um, Roe versus Wade and your Voting Rights Act and Obamacare. Now, I can only go so far with this thing. I hope that her children are perfectly safe and completely separated and have no chance of getting sick whatsoever. I pray that earnestly for her children. Love y'all more. Love you more. 6 p.m. in Sydney. Love it. And it is a special occasion. Who needs sleep? Wait. Are somebody waking up? Ben Lewis says it is 4:30. Yeah, it is 4:30 here, and he's waking up. And Ben, I haven't been asleep yet, and you can see it in my eyes. All right, folks. I think but see, there's no point in me going to sleep because I'm not gonna fall asleep. Oh man, see, this is the thing. Okay, I will talk about this next thing, and then I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna try. The recklessness that this government has been, with which they have been playing around with COVID-19, it is completely plausible and reasonable. At this juncture, we could see like the entirety of our leadership in this country wiped out. And all I honestly would be able to say is that when you stand by and let 200,000 people die, what else would you expect? See, I don't just try to do right by people because I just try to do right by people. I also do right by people because I want people to do right by me and never have to turn around and organize to take me down. But most of all, I do right by people because the universe is, when it gets back, it gets back. And it would not be unreasonable for the universe to look for God, whoever you want to call it, God, the universe, karma, whatever you believe in, whatever you don't believe in. Would it not be poetic justice for all of the people who sat by and did nothing, or in fact, made the conditions perfect for 205,000 people to die who did not have to die? Would it not be just for the universe to wipe them all out? It's not what I desire. My desire is that you would prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prosper. But if you were writing a novel, if you were the author of that novel or the narrator in a novel, wouldn't that just be just? And the problem is, these people have no true regard for justice. Not justice realized, not justice in terms of equity. They have no regard for justice, and they have no fear of justice happening to them. They think that not only are they above man's law, but they believe that they are above the universe. They believe they're above the idea of justice. See, if I told you what I really believe, y'all would think I was like a weirdo. But I believe that ideas, oh shit, I don't stepped into it. I wonder if my brother's watching. I believe that ideas are eternal. And this is not a big deal. I think Plato said as much. They're ideals. They exist out of time. They have no need for anyone to create them, and they can never be destroyed. Ideas and ideals are infinite, eternal, everlasting, and powerful. And I believe justice is one of those ideas that transcends space, transcends time. It is a concept that, as long as there's a conscious mind to observe it, justice will be there. Just like greed, just like hate, just like bigotry, just like love. All those concepts are eternal, are universal. As long as there's a conscious mind to observe it, somebody can have the capacity for love and hate, bigotry and kindness, cruelty and empathy, justice and injustice. But when something is that universal and that powerful, it's hard to not believe that it actually has its own agenda to keep it light, to keep it, to not let you see exactly how wild I really am. It has its own rhetorical agenda. And these motherfuckers who run our country think that they are above this eternal, immortal, everlasting, ever present, ever just ubiquitous concept, ideal of justice. So I'm not just kind because the Bible tells me so. I'm not just kind because I enjoy the emotional reward that I get from being kind to other people. I'm not just kind because I fear my cruelty will stimulate and organize someone to fight against me. I'm also kind because I believe that justice has an agenda. And I fully believe that agenda is being executed with Donald Trump getting COVID-19, seeing that he presided over, because of his callousness and casual dismissal of justice and the lives and the cavalier dismissal of so many lives, thinking that he was above being touched by justice. Bruh, if you go to the end of time, justice will be there. Don't get me wrong, injustice will be there too. It's not a guarantee that justice is always going to win, right? There's nothing in stone that says justice is going to win, but every now and then, the narrator of our universe. So, put all that aside. The point is, would it not be just for a system that allowed 205,000 souls to perish needlessly, or perhaps let's say 150,000, because it was a novel coronavirus. We don't have a vaccine. We didn't have any therapeutics, and we didn't immediately know. No, I'm sorry. Back that thing up. They knew in December. In fact, I think I saw one report that said that they had the intelligence back in November. They knew soon enough to save more than 150,000 lives. They probably knew soon enough to save 175,000 of those 200,000 lives. So to that end, would it not be just for Amy Coney Bryant to have spread it to everyone she went to? For Donald Trump to have spread it all throughout everybody in his office? To spread, I mean, do I want this? No. But if y'all keep playing around, lecturing us about our cruelty, when we would rather be kind, as you revel in your cruelty, then I might have to be the bearer of bad news that justice is going to take care of whatever we want. It is what it is. It is rough. Y'all don't be playing. See, here's the funny thing about it. The funny thing about it, though, is that by the time I get to the point where I'm like, you know what, F it, let me do a stream, F these conservatives, they're evil, they're cruel. Most of my Twitter followers and people who support me have been there already. Y'all have been there for like at least the last 8 hours, and I'm just now in the last 2 hours like, you know what? Fuck these motherfuckers. I'm finally turned up. I'm usually late to the party, but I make up for it. Well, I don't think I have a moderator this time of night. Y'all could block them yourselves, though. All right, man. Hey, folks, it's 1,000 of us, and part of me always hates to cut off a stream with 1,000 total people across all these platforms. But um, try to get some rest. Try to get some rest. And rest in the assurance that by Monday, we'll be talking about something else, and Donald Trump will be sitting in quarantine, tweeting about his terrible experience from quarantine. Yeah. But we would have moved on because we have been so desensitized to the madness of Donald Trump and to his chaos that whatever headline hits on Monday, we'll probably be talking about that. So in the meantime, y'all get some rest. Take care of yourself. And despite all the venom that I necessarily spewed, it was necessary and we're going to have to be able to do it. I want you to know that my goal and my wish for you is that you prosper and that you're in good health, safe and sound from COVID-19, even as your soul prospers. In whatever format you accept that prospering. I want what's best for you. I do want what's best for our enemies. But we're going to have to get rid of them because they really have no empathy whatsoever. And they will kill us while having us beg. They will have us apologizing to them while they execute us. And you know what? At that point, when you realize that's how cruel they are, you gotta pick up your fists, ball your knuckles up, and fight the hell back. So I want what's good for them, but I could table that goodness while we rhetorically beat their asses, rhetorically speaking. Good night, everybody.